Hi, this is Carol Wisely with Radio Free Decipher. We've not done this for a couple of weeks now, and as you listeners can probably hear, my voice is still pretty croaky. This stems from the Star Wars celebration in Denver, which is about 2 or 3 weeks ago now, and having sat for 3 days running YJ demos, Young Jedi demos, I came back with no voice whatsoever, and it's gradually coming back. So we skipped Radio Free. I was in New York, I think, promoting one Friday, and I was in LA last week at the E3, the Electronics Entertainment Expo, which was awesome. Gotta love that pod race game on Nintendo. Went out and bought one the minute I got back, so it was cool. So I am here. I'm going to be talking in a while with Juz Pakes, who I think is the most recent Decipherian. Sometimes it's hard to check. People come and go, but he's been here since just before Celebration. He actually joined us at the Celebration on his immigration flight into the U.S. from Sydney via LA. So in a few moments I'll talk to him. Let's just get a couple of news items out of the way first. For all you Trek listeners out there, this broadcast is not going to focus on Star Trek. I know that you're all feeling antsy because we've not said much about Blaze of Glory recently, and it was promised for May or June, and as I guess you all know, it's not going to arrive in May or June. I think we're looking, hopefully, towards the end of July for the release of that set. I apologize for that, but we got to get it absolutely crisp and right, and the images right, and the guys are putting the final touches to it as we speak. So that's going to be coming down the pike later in July, and as soon as I know more about it, then we will talk more. But if you Trek guys want to switch off now, the rest of this broadcast will be devoted to Star Wars. It's the Star Wars week. It's obviously the premiere of Episode 1 week, and for those of us who remember standing in line in 1977 for A New Hope, it's been a really amazing week. I've seen the movie 3 times so far, and I intend to try and see it again this weekend, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. So those of you who haven't seen it, we will preface anything we say about it with the word spoiler. But we're not going to talk about plot, and we're not going to talk about action. We're just going to talk about what the experience felt like for us. We're also going to be talking about Young Jedi, which has been on the market just over a week now, and we're also going to be talking about Classic, because Endor, believe it or not, is not very far away. In fact, I'm keeping my fingers crossed and my toes crossed for a release in the middle of June, maybe even June 16th. That's a Wednesday. I can't promise that date yet. It's not confirmed, but that's certainly the target we're trying to achieve. And we're going to be hoping to run some pre-release tournaments for Endor the weekend before. Endor is a kind of standalone set, and which makes sealed deck very, very playable with just Endor boosters. So when you get your Endor product, you'll find the rules for booster draft included in every display as a display topper, and the booster draft will be the formula that we're using for the pre-releases. I'm going to introduce Juz now, Juz Pakes, also known as Juz. Hi.
How are you, Carol?
For those of you who are listening, you might need to listen to some of what Juz says a couple of times until you get used to the accent. We're pretty used to it now, but he is from Australia. Surprise, surprise. Tell us what it's like being on the other side of the globe, Juz.
It's quite a joy and a pleasure, of course, but it's a far different experience to my little holiday here last year, which was the Wanderer walkabout, as you people like to call it, of course. But it's been nothing but fun so far, especially flying in through Celebration, which was quite an experience.
That certainly was, yeah. Good. So tell us about Endor Booster Draft. Since you're the rules maestro and the technical writing maestro for everything to do with Star Wars, I guess you're pretty up on that format.
Not a lot to say, because there's not much in the way of rules. There is just simply the easy booster draft rules, which is fine and should make a very interesting standalone type of contest, because it has a feel of a couple of different sets. Has a bit of a feel the way Endor holds out, like a sort of a Hoth type of objective, and it has this interesting layout with our Imperial friends on one side and our little furry guys on the other.
Cool. How many packs do you use then in a booster draft?
I think at the moment they're talking 7 to 9.
That gives you, how many cards? About 80?
Yep, we're in the 9 card sets.
Right.
9 card packs.
So, and you build down to a deck. What size deck?
I think the current player is going to be still 40.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Great. Have you played Endor yet?
I've had a bit of a fiddle around with it, but I haven't had the chance to do a full booster draft yet. So, looking forward to that.
You've seen all the cards?
I've seen most of the cards and a handful of the foils.
I saw those the other day too. I know foils are this big controversial topic out there, but I tell you, every time I see those things, any kind of argument just goes out the window, and it's just shiny objects. I want one.
From a distance.
Absolutely.
Rainbow colours.
Yeah. Some of them are really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
I have my favourite.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah, cool. So tell me what it's been like starting to get a grip with answering the questions. What kind of stuff's flying in at the moment?
Initially overwhelming, of course, as you'd expect. I think after my first 3.5 days in the office, I was about 600 emails behind, which is a whole new experience for me, after only being a discussion lister where you can sort of pick and choose. But it gets under control pretty quickly, and you get pretty much into the swing of it. And it's been fun, actually, too, writing a few articles and now starting to get the feel of the pulse of the list again after being off for a couple of weeks.
So you and Mark are on the list together, I guess, Mark Tuttle.
We are indeed. Mark is the controller and the regulator and keeps things at a steady pace, and I'm simply rules boy. And YJ, there's a list for YJ too. There is indeed a discussion list for YJ, including a bulletin board, and that's been running pretty smoothly. Been some interesting discussion there because we're still pretty heavily into YJ here too.
We certainly are. It's I know we've had the occasional moans coming in. Oh, they don't love Star Wars Classic anymore. They don't love Trek anymore, which of course is not true. But it's like when here's an analogy that I can relate to. I go buy some new clothes. I'm going to wear them for a while, and then I'm going to go back to the wardrobe and take out my old favorites.
Absolutely. And the sweetest thing I've seen was at the celebration to watch a classic tournament go through, and when you finish a game a little early due to one person's superiority or another, to see a little game of YJ going on in the break.
Well, I think one of the nice things about YJ for me is it is so flexible. I've played it on the plane, on the little dinner trays. That's easy. We sat in the theatre waiting for our first showing of episode 1, and I was sitting between Kendrick and Jonathan, and Kendrick and I decided to play YJ on our laps, which is actually very, very easy. You don't put down a location, you just name the location you're playing at, and then you just each play on your lap and tell each other what you're doing, and it works really great. I don't think there's anywhere that you couldn't play this game. Yeah,
it's been a while since we could play a game in less than the width of your shoulders.
True. It's just one of the things about YJ that I like. And, my Obi-Wan foil card, which somebody gave me the other day, is sweet.
Oh, stop showing off.
I think I have a queen somewhere. I think I have about 6 foils so far, although Carl Hoyer took my decks, so most of my foils were in my decks.
It's my impression that around this building, queen foil is actually one of the most sought after.
I know. I'd like them all. I haven't got them all yet.
No, I'm nowhere near that stage.
Okay, so let's talk about the foils a little bit. What do you think about this argument that's raging at the moment about whether or not you should play foils? Because the process of foiling those cards it's inevitably going to lead to a small amount of warping, depending on the humidity in the area that you are in. And I know that I've seen people saying, "Oh, these cards are marked, can't play them in my decks." What's your take on that?
Yeah, it's hard to say at the moment since we've had such a mild spring at the moment, isn't it? Work out which hemisphere I'm in. Such a mild spring in Norfolk, so we haven't evidenced that here. But I think if you have to take a few steps to actually keep them as flat as you can, that's fine. But in YJ, there's really not much advantage to knowing that something's in your deck, because you're pretty much going through your deck one card at a time anyway. So even if you can have an idea that maybe one of your foils is tucked down the bottom, it's not going to help you get to it any faster.
And is it going to help the opponent knowing that it's way down the deck?
That depends how well he knows your deck, which he only gets to see it once in a normal game. So I can't really see any advantage, but I also have yet to evidence that kind of warping of the foils in any of the ones I'm playing with.
Yeah, mine are sleeved anyway, and you don't even notice it in the sleeves on the deck that I've got. What do you reckon's going to happen with Endor, where knowing where a card is, I think, is going to be slightly more important?
Well, hopefully it's less of an issue with a sleeve anyway. And the other point is that I don't think I'd want to play my foils without a sleeve. Let's put it that way. They're just all too shiny for that sort of treatment. So, I can see a potentially more of an issue if it becomes a major issue in Endor, because you are moving through your deck a little more often. But in a classic game. But at the moment, there's not really any evidence of whether we can actually, keep them flat, keep them inside under something heavy or something like that, because as yet I haven't witnessed any of that myself.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, but we'll get round it, I know that.
But I mentioned they're very shiny.
I think I'm a bit of a magpie too. Always go for those shiny objects.
Doesn't take much. We're collectors after all.
We are. Show me a player who's not a collector and I'll fall over flat in surprise. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit more about YJ. Are you finding much debate and discussion? I can't see that this is a game that's going to be really heavy on FAQs and current rulings.
No, absolutely not. I mean, there's a few obvious questions that pop up, and there's a few obvious then strategy questions that pop up. But in general, most of the discussion has been handled by the people on the discussion list, which is very easy for me. But in the end, it is a game with a simple rule structure, but the strategy is a lot in your double thinking, and it's a lot in how you can predict your opponent, what signs you can pick up. It's more of a it doesn't require it, but it is definitely more of a cerebral game than I first gave it credit after reading through the rules. And that's sort of evidenced here by the fact that we're still playing it frantically at lunchtimes while waiting in line for another episode 1 showing, etc., etc.
What kind of deck do you play?
At the moment, my dark deck is primarily battle droids and destroyer droids.
That seems to be a big favourite.
Although they got terrible deaths now, I just love the MTTs. They're just fantastic. My light deck at the moment, well, personally, I can't go past the little boy.
Oh, Anakin, yeah.
Anakin's just too cool and too nasty.
Yeah, especially with that pod. Yeah, I know. I'm told that Jar Jar with his Electropole's pretty good as well.
Yep, I've heard the same thing too, but I do like the idea of getting extra cards into your hand with old Anakin and his little racer extraordinaire.
Yeah, true. Do you play stackable characters then?
I actually do. I've actually just started throwing in a couple of... I actually play quite a lot of Obies and quite a lot of Anakins at the moment, and I actually do have a teamwork card as well as a stacker card. Got to be a little careful how you get them out though, because if you get too many Anakins out and running, you suddenly do the trick I had the other day, which was came to the evening up stage and had 12 cards in my hand.
That's nasty.
That's just a little excessive.
6 cards down in one turn, that's really nasty. You can run through a deck pretty quickly that way.
That's right.
Well, what do you feel about the argument that when to surrender is one of the most critical strategy points in this game?
Absolutely. Yep. It's when you make that decision, it's whether you think you have what it takes to take the next planet. Also, I've noticed there's quite a strategy in whether you tailor your deck to be multifunctional across both sites on the planet, or whether you tailor it for your site and put extra sites in to try and hold that site on top, or whether you actually tailor your deck to play on your opponent's site. And then the strategy becomes surrendering at the right time, that you can choose the next planet, but you know that he has to choose the planet that your deck is tailored to. Because currently in the initial set in Menace of Darth Maul, it's definitely the big guys on Tatooine. That's where a lot of our characters are based.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to get the next 2 sets out there and start to see both those other planets reach their full potential. Yeah.
My sneaky little battle droid deck at the moment actually works best on the opponents at the pod racing site. So they're mainly battle droids keyed to the pod racing site. So I try not to choose Tatooine. I try to win a planet so that he has to choose Tatooine, and then I'll never convert it. Right. And that's an idea I've got to give some credit to Tom Lishka for.
Oh, it was funny the other day we were doing a clear out here. We found a bunch of photos from the 1996 Star Wars customizable card game World Championship. And we were just flicking through them and we're like, Tom Lishke, he works here. Kevin Reitzel, he works here. Kyle Hoyer, he works here. Marcus Serta, he works here. Joe Allred, he interns here. It's like that little group that came out to Vale at the end of 96. Most of them, it seems, are here now, so that was funny.
I had a look through those because of that time I was around, but it was all something I'd seen from the other side of the world and whatever pictures we got up on the website. And I must say that if anyone runs into Kevin Reitzel on one of his big trips, ask him about his earrings.
He looked very different then.
He did
Long
indeed.
hair. Now he's a spiky, short cut. Kevin Reitzel, of course, who's soon hopefully to be christened Bravo leader, something we were waiting for the movie to come out and now to get Lucasfilm permission. He's out on the road permanently at the moment since Celebration, playing a big part in the Barnes & Noble demo tour, which a lot of our squadron members and our ambassadors have been supporting big time. Some of them running 8, 9 and 10 of those events, and what we hear is that they're amazingly successful.
That's been quite a rush.
Yeah, it's nice to see that YJ transcends generation barriers, gender barriers, gamers, non-gamers, kids, adults, girls, boys, men, women. It's great. I read so many reports that say this is something that dads want to play with their sons, that boyfriends want to play with their girlfriends. It's nice to know that there's something so quick and easy that just is so universal. And
quick and easy is the key for crossing all those barriers.
Absolutely.
Definitely at Celebration and the Barnes & Noble I did down in Shreveport, Louisiana. I've demoed to a lot of girls, a lot of ladies. I've demoed to little kids and had their mothers look on and tell them strategy advice. And I had a sweet situation at Barnes & Noble where I had a female teacher come and sit down and learn to play because she said she wanted to make sure she was cool with the kids.
Absolutely. It's a great game for kids because the math is easy, but it takes some thinking about. I taught my 10-year-old nephew to play last night. He was playing with a little 8-year-old girl for a couple of hours, and they really loved it. And what's more, they love deck building because it's so structured that, you know, all that sorting of the cards into piles and then working out what goes in each color. I think it's fabulous.
And let's face it, that's the key to the card games that we're in.
Yeah,
the ability to make it different every game.
I don't think I've been able to build a classic deck since A New Hope because I'm definitely at YJ level, definitely. Although, you know, I've been hearing some good things about Endor. I might step my toe back into that water and play some booster drafts so I don't have to use any of the cards.
Booster draft would be a good place to stick your toe back in, I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't get away from Classic because it's what I was born and bred on, and definitely enjoy that depth of gameplay. But I am enjoying the more subtle parts of YJ.
So tell me about you and Classic. You were pretty much there from day one, weren't you?
Pretty close. I think I got in about January 96, something like that.
That's
I was
about
in my
2 weeks after it launched, yeah.
Yeah. I was in my local gaming shop in Sydney, Australia, and was actually just getting back into. We had a group of us from our old university days just getting back into some role playing. Saw this little box up the back of the shop. Asked them what that was because there was a little Star Wars moniker on it. They said it was a card game, so we bought a couple of those starters. And by pure coincidence, two of my other friends had actually run across it. One friend was travelling in Hawaii at the time and picked up one of the two-player games. Another friend was just a collector of anything with Star Wars written on it. And we sat down and played a few games. And that was it, pretty much it for me.
And you popped up on our bulletin boards pretty soon after that.
Yeah, not long after when
the new site went up, I remember that.
Yeah, the place I was working at the time had their internet access sort of thrown open, and so I started looking around for things to do. Not during work time, of course. And found myself on the bulletin board and a lot of questions, and it was just fun to get in there and answer questions, and I started getting into that whole virtual personality thing.
That's right, and you became fairly active on the list soon after that, and I think you're pretty much one of the early guys. You and a group of others. You can name their names. I know there's a bunch of you.
Yeah, there's a bunch of us. I don't know whether we like to remain anonymous or not. That hasn't worked for me. Yes, our good friend Mike Smith, a Canadian, one of our rules gurus. He actually was on the bulletin board and said, if you like the actual strategy and discussion content, try coming over to here. I really hadn't been on an email list before. And he dragged me over there and unfortunately hasn't been able to get rid of me since.
Cool, yeah, I know there's a bunch of you. I've watched it from a distance for a long time. I watch the list. I don't contribute, but I do watch it.
I actually think a lot of the list would be surprised. I mean, I was a little surprised at the number of Decipher people who are constantly monitoring the list. It's a great little mechanism.
Yeah, we lurk. We're lurkers. We like to hear what people are saying and doing. Believe it or not, guys out there, we do listen to the feedback. We discuss the feedback. We debate the feedback. And sometimes we even act on the feedback. I know you all think that we just ignore it, but it's not true. So how do you see things developing over the next few months here at Decipher?
As far as my realm, being the Star Wars realm, there is a lot in store. I mean, I'm now looking forward to the next YJ expansion, and I probably should be still getting over the last one. But that's a quick game, easy to play, so I'm enjoying that as just pick-up games while you're waiting for a car, while you're waiting to be picked up. But I'm now looking forward to I'd like to actually play in a few local tournaments to keep my toe in what's going on a different side of the world. And Endor is going to be good for that, so I'm excited about that. And of course, for me, I also can't wait for the Death Star 2 because I am a big fan of Starship Battles.
Oh, right. And that's going to be a while. I'm not quite sure when that one's coming out. I think we have some special products between Endor and that to crank out, I've heard and seen. And, of course, the Internet has rumoured and thrown spoilers around for some time now on some of the other projects that are going on. So we're looking forward to that. Classic has a long way to go. I got a bunch of toys in this morning, and they were mostly Classic toys, but people were real excited about sharing them out. I mean, The nice thing that I felt, having watched the movie 3 times now, was the continuity between it and the classic trilogy felt very powerful to me.
To me, it's the case that the movie actually has something for all the new fans and the younger kids, but actually takes the old guys, I should say, and gives us a little bit to think about where it's going and how it all ends up, which I quite liked. And I actually enjoyed it more on my second viewing.
Me too, and more again on my third.
I think I was a little overwhelmed on my first one. I was trying to keep up with everything, and when there's 5 digital characters in the background of almost every scene, there's a lot of reviewing in there.
Yeah, I could watch that lightsaber duel. I could watch
that's a spoiler.
Oh.
Someone might have not known there's a lightsaber duel.
They might. There's a track on the album, Duel of Fates, that whole section. I won't say any more, but that to me is one of the best pieces of film music that has ever been written.
That is the absolute standout. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, me too.
But that spoiler lightsaber duel definitely is marked in my memory for slow motion. As soon as I can get it on video, it's just almost too fast for the eye to see.
Oh yeah. So who's your favourite character?
You really, we're going to go into character names here, guys. This counts as spoiler too. I can't go past Maul, and although he's just a menacing type of, well, there's a good term for it too. He's a menacing character. I do actually love his physical presence. He's very good at what he does, very fast, and quite a talented martial artist also.
Yeah.
That has a lot of appeal. But I also think that the Jedi portrayed, our older Jedi, which is Qui-Gon, is comes across with that traditional sort of, Knight of the Round Table type of, nobility, which is something I like.
You picked him. I know why you picked him, Juz, because, there's a rumour flying around the office that Justin Pakes does not look unlike Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn. I will tell everybody that. He's not quite as tall, and he's not quite as old as Liam Neeson, but there is this rumour going around.
It's only when I wear my hair out. It obviously catches people by surprise. Could have been worse. I could have been looked like Jar Jar.
Well, I saw Liam on Tonight last night on the Jay Leno show. He was funny. I thought he was great.
If looking anything like him gets me any percentage of his royalties from this movie, I'll take that. I'll take that being compared to 55-year-old in my stride.
Go do a stand-in. Go work as a Qui-Gon stand-in. Okay, well, Ewan, of course, is my favourite. As everybody around the office knows, I have my little Obi shrine in the office. I have toys, I have cards, I have images, I have posters. So, yeah, Obi is definitely my collectible. I think I don't think there's going to be much with Obi-Wan on that I don't get into my office at some point.
You know what we say, Carol? You're 5 steps from Stalker.
I think we'll edit that bit out.
I'm actually a very, very big fan of Trainspotting.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie. Actually, I can't think of a Ewan McGregor one that I've seen that I didn't enjoy, and I've still got a couple to see. I haven't seen Velvet Underground, haven't seen Little Voice, so those are on my list, and I think it's time to watch Shallow Grave again. Well,
I might have to warn you away from Velvet Underground, because I believe it contains some Ewan nudity. We don't want you corrupted that way,
then
Carol.
I will not be watching that one.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I also really like Anakin. I think Jake Lloyd did a great job, and I still haven't got over meeting him at Celebration. That was just so awesome. He's such a cool kid.
And it's a very cool story, that one.
The one, yeah. I think we talked about that on Radio Free after Celebration, but he's a great young Jedi player now. We do know that, and we know that he plays with all his buddies, and that he loves to play an Anakin and a pod racer deck, so that's really cool. He's a pretty good pod racer on the Nintendo as well. I saw him down in LA at E3 playing pod racer, and that was fun.
I do wonder if his friends are the most likely people to get a signed Anakin out of a YJ set, but of course they're probably the ones who least want one.
Yeah, I guess.
There's a couple of million people across the world absolutely begging for it.
Well, I also have a soft spot for the Queen, and I think it's because she and I share an English accent. She does a very good English accent in that movie. But I'm not going to do my impression on the air.
Okay. And Lucas does use, he's used a lot of English.
Yeah.
A lot. Even Australian. There was actually an Australian actor in the first Star Wars. It was actually the character we now know as Lieutenant Paul Tradium.
Ah.
CK421, why don't you your post?
Yes.
It's actually an Australian actor and the wife of a well-known Australian celebrity.
Cool. And I guess 2 and 3...
The wife, I should say the husband.
The husband. I guess 2 and 3, which are being shot in Australia, or so it's said, will contain a lot more Australian actors. So maybe we'll get used to the squadrons flying around in whatever spaceships there are in those episodes speaking with Australians instead of that wonderfully clipped British accent that pilots always use.
I believe it comes out in Australia on June the 3rd. Well, I don't believe, I know full well that that's when it comes out. So I think we got a reasonably early showing because Lucas was trying to keep us on the good books for his filming of the next two.
Absolutely, yeah.
And of course,
exciting.
as soon as he goes down there, I come over here.
True, but you're going to go down to Australia in June. You can see it down there.
That indeed will be fun. I'll get a chance to see it with the friends who have also been waiting for it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they all hate me now, but anyway.
Okay, good. Well, I think we can just about wrap up. This has been pretty much a Star Wars event today. We've got Endor around the corner. We've got the YJ Next expansion coming in the summer. We're heading off pretty soon. We're heading off for our summer tour of conventions, so hopefully we'll see you all there. Our preliminaries, our regionals are coming up in August, and our prelims are running at the moment. And we're just about sitting down here to plan out Decipher Con, which is going to be our world final weekend this year, as we've said already.
I don't think weekend does it justice.
I don't think so either. Star Wars and Star Trek finals will both be played on the same weekend, along with a huge YJ event or two, along with lots of other events, many of which will be open to all comers. I think it's going to be like a 2.5-day event in the middle of November in Norfolk, so mark your calendars. I think we're looking at the weekend that's somewhere around about the 12th, 13th of November. We're just scoping out space and starting to make plans. Personally, I'm looking forward to the party on Saturday night. That's the one I'm planning. We can get one of our squadron members to DJ at that event, I think.
Oh, I wonder who that might be.
I wonder who that might be. Somebody in the West Coast, I believe. And so more news about that, and more news about all Decipher's events during the summer. Look out for a YJ tournament near you. We should be ready to sanction those in the near future. Just getting the software finished, and YJ posters are in, and those will be appearing at the shows and other special events. They're really cool. Have you seen those?
Oh, I certainly have. There'd be one hanging above my fireplace.
And I think a story on those points is going to go up. I've seen lots of people are saying, what about these YJ points? Well, we knew we were going to do something, and we're working on a triple-tier scheme with a poster as the entry tier, a T-shirt as the middle tier, and we're still hoping to get one of those really awesome jackets, a bit like the mall one from the Celebration with YJ embroidery. That's going to be a bit pricey, though. It's going to be a lot of points and a lot of shipping and handling. But,
worth the chase, I'd say.
It's going to be worth the chase. So.
And does Scotch any rumours the poster isn't a naked Decipher employee poster?
No, absolutely not. Okay, well, thanks for talking to me, Juz, and I will try and drum up some Star Trek news for next week's broadcast. Am I going to be here next week? Actually, yes. So yes, there will be a broadcast next week, and find somebody else to talk to. So keep playing, guys. Play Star Trek, play Star Wars, play YJ, and let us know what you think. Don't forget, you can email me, and all my Radio Free Decipher questions come in March, so at some point I will get round to answering them.
And we'll see you on the list or catch you at a con.
Okay. Bye, guys.